I'm Haley Kiner, and this is my persuasive speech. So my topic for the speech was if schools should limit their school weeks to 4 days. So originally in my audience analysis, when I had only done minimal research, I was for it. I was for making 4-day weeks, and I had only really read about the pros of doing it. But after extensive research, I actually am against it because I learned so many different cons and so many different things that can drag down kids with doing 4-day weeks. So I would like to explain it to you, and I just wanted to let you know that, more research really showed me how I felt about this topic. So for my first thing that I'd like to talk about is that it may discourage kids to do their work, or it may feel like they don't have as much to do, so they're not going to focus on it as much. Basically, because they don't have to go to school as much, they will just become not interested or slack off, which in my audience analysis, I was completely on the total opposite side of this. I had read that in multiple studies it had helped scores, which from my source number 2, ncsl.org, they said that a study in Colorado showed improvements in math scores, and then in a different part of Colorado, it showed really no difference. It wasn't a negative effect, but there was no difference. So there's been multiple studies that show different things, so they're not really conclusive just yet, but also there's only a few schools in 560 districts in about 25 states that are doing this, but over the years, there's been more and more. So while it may discourage kids and it may decline their grades or may discourage them to do their homework or get their work done, this has been shown to only really happen in vulnerable groups of kids. So ones that are maybe already slacking off a little bit, or income families, which is another thing I would love to talk about. So a big thing with the cons of all of this is low-income families, because those families use the school week for childcare while they go to work, and they may not be able to afford a babysitter or just may not have access to a babysitter. The school is what takes care of their kids. So on the 5th day, say most of the schools do Friday, so on Friday, they don't have anywhere for their kids to go, which can be a huge problem, because if they can't find a babysitter or can't afford it, then how are they going to be able to take care of their kids? They may not be able to go to work that day, or they may have to leave their kids alone, which can be dangerous if they're not of the right age to do that. So that's another thing. And then another thing for low-income families is meals. A lot of kids rely on going to school to get their food for the day. They can get breakfast and lunch there, so that can be 2 meals out of the 3 a day that they get from the school. So on that 5th day, like Friday, they may not be able to get all of the food and nutrients and meals that they need that day, which can be a huge problem if their family can't afford it, or yet again, if they just are home by themselves and they can't cook because, it would be dangerous, or they may just not be old enough to know how. So that's a big thing that really persuaded me to not like the 4-day weeks, because I really didn't think about how it may affect low-income families. And now that I read so much research, that was on every single source that I cited. So I read a lot about that on source number 1, gsc.harvard.edu. The article name was a 4-day school week by Denise Marie Ordway. But she talked about that a lot. That was one of her main cons and one of her main points to describe 4-day weeks and what they can really do to a family, because it seemed like a lot of families that were in those areas struggled with that, because most areas that are doing 4-day weeks are in rural areas. So that was kind of a big deal. And then my pros for it, that, because I want to at least point out the good things that can happen, which are totally not enough to outweigh the bad, but it's flexibility for adults. A lot of adults like the 4-day week because, for one, for teachers, it can be easier to get stuff done on the day that they don't have to go to school. Like, they can schedule appointments, they can schedule meetings, they can get their errands done on that Friday. Sorry, my dog's going crazy. They can schedule errands for that Friday, or some schools do Monday, that they can get all of their stuff done on that day, which can reduce them missing days during the actual school year. And it also helps out a lot of adults, as in parents, in the same way they can take their kids to doctor's appointments or any kind of appointment on that Friday, so that their kids don't have to miss a school, which can be improved attendance, which is another thing that has been proved through studies. So that's another really good thing. So, sorry. My one more point about how it may be a con is that it, like I said, can not encourage students to get their stuff done. So one of my points in my audience analysis is that it may give the kids more time to have a life and enjoy life outside of school, because they would get less homework, they would have more time to be kids, be able to really enjoy life a lot better. But actually, from my source number 3, theadvocate.com, the article is "What are the pros and cons of a 4-day school week" by Matthew Lynch. They say that a lot of vulnerable groups dropped in academic scores, and also that a lot of juvenile crime, not in drugs or violence, but in property crime, like sneaking on a property or doing something to a property that's not yours, that actually rose. So it didn't really explain the connection between the two, but it just said that there was a study shown that in the areas where they went to 4-day weeks or 4-day school weeks, that juvenile crime did rise in that area. So that's just another thing that can really discourage 4-day schools, or 4-day school weeks, because you do not want your kids to be involved in crime, or be even around it, because if they're in a town that the crime is rising, then that means that they're probably more exposed to it. So that's why I think that 4-day school weeks just shouldn't be a thing, or if they are, they really need to crack down and try to fix the things that are consequences from doing this. So thank you.